Hey, Facebook Live, Cami Baker here, coming to you from my home in New England. And I just wanted to touch base on what I've got going on this week. I have mentioned earlier in some of my personal messages to you guys and just different phone calls I've been making and things about this upcoming extraordinary program. And what I want to talk about today are 3 myths that are surrounding, that are swarming, that are an epidemic about networking that I want to bust. And I'm actually going to bust them on the zoominar that I do on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So the myths that I'm going to bust around networking are, number 1, I hear all the time, Cami, I don't have time to network. There's not enough time to network. Just can't do it. Only so much time in a day. I can't make enough time to network. And that is so true. And it's so false. So we're going to talk about that on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. We'll talk about the myth that there's just not enough time to network. So the second thing is about being a born networker. Most people think that everybody else has got it figured out except for them. And that there's extroverts and there's introverts. And if so-and-so can do it, but they can't do it. And so I am here to tell you that we're going to bust that myth too. That it is not something that you're born with. It is not something that if you don't have it, you can't do it. Hi, Ronald. Hi, Jeffrey. My 2 favorite guys. Thank you for always supporting me. You both rock. And you both have to meet each other. Ron, when you get back from St. Croix, you need to meet Jeffrey. And Jeffrey is up near the Canadian border, but comes down to civilization once every 6 or 8 weeks. So I'm actually speaking in Boston, Jeffrey, April 5th, April 11th, and May 26th that I can remember. So let me know when you're coming down. Maybe we can coordinate. You can see me in action. The third myth that we're going to bust on Wednesday is around networking as a place that you go. So there is a mindset that you have to be in a certain place, or that when we talk about networking, it's going there, or when I'm at that. And that is so not the plan. It is not what happens. Networking is not that. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit on Wednesday as well. So I actually was just on the phone doing an interview with a woman named Orion. Let me get her name right because she's so sweet. Orion Talmy. She has a podcast called Living a Stellar Life. Living a Stellar Life. And I am so honored that I was interviewed by her today. She's actually interviewed John Gray. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. So I've now been interviewed on the same podcast as Dr. John Gray. So that's pretty cool. And I told her I'd give her a little shout out today. Because that's part of what I'll be teaching. There is a class coming up that is called Up to 30 Highly Qualified Leads in 30 days with as little as 30 minutes a day. And one of the many strategies, tips, techniques, things to make net playing, networking, NetWebbing fun is how we give referrals to people and how we give people shout outs. This is called the law of reciprocity. You know, you do for someone, they naturally want to do for you. Orion reached out to me. She wanted to interview me. We had a fabulous conversation. Now I'm talking about her podcast, the Stellar Lifestyle, and I'm giving her a shout out. So I'm not sure who gave the shout out first or what, but the law of reciprocity says when I do for you, you naturally want to reciprocate and do for me. And so that's one of the few things that we'll be talking about, or one of the many things, that we'll be talking about in that program. But on Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we're going to bust those 3 myths. So number 1, you say you don't have enough time to network? I'm going to help you with that. We're going to bust that myth. You say that you are not a born networker and that you're not extroverted and that it's too hard to learn. We're going to talk about that too. And you think that networking is a place to go. Let me give you an example about this one. Another friend of mine, another coach, Nancy Hill out there, we had a conversation a couple of nights ago about networking, and she says to me, Cami, I never go networking. I just don't go networking. Now, mind you, she's in a network marketing business on the side of being a coach, and she's at this network marketing business's training every week. So once a week, at least, she's at an event that has 50 to 100 people at it. And because she's a coach that can help and serve and benefit so many people that are in that room every week, I said, Nancy, exactly where do you think you need to go to network? And she gave me some ideas. And I said, well, what about the network marketing meeting that you're at every week with people? She said, oh yeah, I've got a couple of clients in there, but that's not really networking. So we're going to bust that myth about where it is that we're supposed to network or what networking looks like. So Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern time, I'll be doing just a quick zoominar. Now, if you are interested in being on the zoominar, just send me over in a private message that you're interested, or give me some shout outs or whatever here, and I'll send you over the Zoom link. And we'll get on, and I'm going to bust those 3 myths, and then I'm going to talk about, okay, great, now that we understand about how to leverage our time networking, now that we understand that anybody can do it anywhere with anyone, anywhere, now that we've busted all those myths, now how can we generate 30 highly qualified leads in 30 days in as little as 30 minutes a day with effort? Because I know a lot of people that have fabulous products and services, but they're just not talking to enough people. Or I know people that can close really, really well. Like they got their system down to close, to have a conscious conversation, to be able to offer their services, but they don't have anybody to offer it to. So in other words, no leads, no clients. And I've also said in my trainings many times to not really refer to people as leads, because who wants to be a lead or a target or, on the hit list, as some prospectors would say. I'm using this word in this product because people understand what that is. If I were to say seeds, because I'll tell people, stop looking for leads and start planting your seeds. And that's so true. You want to plant seeds with people. Because some people need your services right now today, and some people won't need them for 6 months or 6 years. Or maybe they don't need your services, but they are a great collaboration partner. Or maybe they end up being a romantic partner, or maybe you end up doing some volunteer work with them. Like, you don't know. So I talk all the time about, when we're out mingling, networking, netwebbing, that we aren't looking for leads, that it's more about planting our seeds, because we don't really know what's going to grow from that seed. However, I understand that the average person just calls it leads, lead generation, looking for a lead. So if that's the case, how about if we had 30 highly qualified leads, especially for my entrepreneur friends, my speaking friends, my coaching friends, etc. If you could get 30 qualified people that you could get on the phone in the next 30 days or over a 30-day period, what would that do to your business? Especially for those of us who have $1,000 and up clients. What would that look like for you? Or even if it's a few $100s for a smaller group package, what would that look like for you to have those people? As a matter of fact, just last Friday, I used this technique, one of the techniques I'm going to share with you in the program. I use this one technique. Within 30 minutes, now check this out, within 30 minutes of effort, in as little as 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes of effort, I booked 3 strategy sessions, 1 speaking gig, and 1 interview in a podcast. Now, mind you, as a speaker, to get a speaking gig means I'm going to be able to get up in front of 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 people at one time. And to get booked to be speaking on podcasts, hundreds, thousands, not really sure how many people are going to hear that. So, dare I say that in that 130-minute rousing effort, I got 3 highly qualified leads that I've set up conversations with. But between the speaking gig and the being on the podcast, which is kind of a speaking gig, technically I just got hundreds or thousands maybe of leads coming in. Now, I don't know how highly qualified those will be, but it does get my name out there, and it does spread my message, spread my website, start to build rapport, certainly builds credibility. I'm being seen more, et cetera, et cetera. I can't go do a live speaking event without having a couple of people come up to me at the end and give me their card and create conversation, et cetera, et cetera. So just in that 1/2 hour, multiple leads were created. Now, how did I do that? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about. So if you're interested, send me a private message and I will send you over the Zoom link for Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, Eastern Time, 1 p.m., up to 30 highly qualified leads in 30 days with as little as 30 minutes of effort in a day. Because I am the guerrilla marketer. I look at things, apparently, I used to think, well, everybody looks at things this way. Everybody thinks about stuff like this, and they just don't. I hear on a daily basis when I'm talking to people about networking and about, hi, Tracy Thompson. Tracy Thompson, I love you. I'm talking about you all the time. As a matter of fact, the interview that I did, I was telling these folks earlier, Orion Talmy and I had an interview, and we talked a lot about you, how much we love you. John Higginbotham, you rock. You rock, rock, rock. So these 3 myths are going to get busted on Wednesday. We're going to talk a little bit more about the different types of effort that we can put in for as little as 30 minutes a day. It can be face-to-face. It can be on Facebook. It can be on the phone. Like, there's all these different avenues. My God, we have so much technology today. Nothing beats face-to-face interaction, guys. I'm going to tell you, nothing beats face-to-face interaction. But you know what? There's a lot of ways to have face-to-face interaction even without leaving your home now. So we'll be going over all these different ways, face-to-face, Facebook, phone, and all the different ways of communicating. And we can communicate. Hey, Chris Blevins. Chris, I love you too. My God. It's been so long since I've seen you, but I do see your posts, and I love and respect the crap out of you. You're my girl. Chris is actually one of the best photographers I have ever worked with. She did my headshots on my birthday last year, on my 48th birthday, and guys and gals, they were smoking hot. It's not just the model, it's the photographer. She made me look good. So, Wednesday, 1 o'clock, everybody come back. We'll talk about busting those myths. And we will talk about how we can start to attract those high quality leads, and not just attract them, because once we've attracted them, now we've got to communicate. We got to conversate. We got to be able to collaborate so that we can create the impact, the income, and the influence that we're looking to have. And Miss Chris Blevins, you and I need to talk, because we can have lots of impact and influence on some of the communities that we work with together. And we got, last year we were going to do that auction, and we never got around to doing it, but we do need to talk about something. So Tracy Thompson, make sure your people know about the class that's coming up, because Tracy Thompson is the conscious conversion queen. Conversations that consciously convert. You can call it sales if you want, but sales is the old paradigm. It's the old language. It's an old way of, what have I got to do to make this deal happen today? And Tracy is not about that. She's about having conversations with people that help them naturally see exactly whether or not you're a good fit. And if you are, you now get to serve. You can serve people from such a conscious giving place. And so she and I were talking about how she can teach people the ninja sales techniques. The ninja. And I'm telling you, girl, I'm writing out my talk there. I'll have to share it with you. She said, you can have the best sales techniques in the world, but if you don't have anybody to give them to work on them with, to speak to conversate with, then you're not making any sales, or more importantly, you're not serving. You're not serving the people who need you so much. And so Tracy's people are going to be sitting in on my webinar or zoominar as much as will be allowable, because she's teaching them how to be able to have conscious conversations that convert I'm going to help them understand where to go find the people to have those conversations with. Jeffrey Miller is on. My God, guys, there's so much power in this group of people that I surround myself with. On that webcast or podcast that I did today, one of the questions Orion asked me, and that so many people ask in interviews, is, what would be some advice that you would give people moving forward that want to have a stellar life? Hers is about stellar life. And the first thing that always comes to mind for me is change your playgrounds, change your playmates. Change your playgrounds and change your playmates. And for me, that's pretty self-explanatory, but just think about if you're on one playground and you've got certain playmates around you, you're going to act a certain way. There's going to be a certain way that you play. There's going to be certain toys that you're playing with. It's a certain environment. If you get up and go to another playground and there's other different kids there, different people there, you're going to play a different way. And so when we find people like Tracy Thompson and Jeffrey Miller and Cami Baker, I hope most people feel, and others that are heart-centered and visionary and thought leaders and goal setters and helpers and have services to serve our community, when we all collectively spend more time together, it's just a beautiful thing. It's so important, the people that you associate with, the conversations that you're having, what you're listening to. I love listening to Darren Hardy. He's one of my favorites. I listen to the Darren Dailies every day. And so yeah, it's who you hang out with. So I'm going to go for now. I just got distracted because I was thinking about Nancy Hill's Facebook Live the other day. She did a Facebook Live and she had fire coming out of her mouth and these hat things coming up on her head. And I was thinking to myself, the next time I do one, I'd find the little button and play with it. But I don't think, oh, I see the little button now. Now I have to hit it. Oh, now it's got all these things down here. Okay. So now I'm playing. Sorry. Now I've just got to play a little bit. Never mind. Shouldn't have done all that. But anyway, hey, you got to have fun. You got to have fun. If what we're doing isn't fun, then what's the point of doing it? So thank you, Nancy Hill, for teaching me to play with some of those filters. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday at 1 o'clock if you let me know you want to come on, because then I'll send you over the Zoom link. So if you're watching this afterwards, I usually have, 300 or 400 people anyway that watch these Facebook Lives. And if you guys can share them with others that you know, who do you know? Here's another tip I'm going to give you. Don't forget to ask for referrals. It's something that we've said, it's something that we've heard, it's something that we know, it's something that we believe, but it's something that we constantly forget to do. So I'm going to practice what I preach and I'm going to live up to this tip. Who do you know that has a fabulous service? Has a wonderful product, but they just need highly qualified leads to talk to about them. And I'm not talking about just internet leads and leads coming into the website. That's all well and good too, and I've got friends that are excellent at that type of thing. That's a different kind of lead generation. I'm talking about bridging the humanity gap and actually having conversations that you can convert. Conversations that are conscious. Being able to actually talk to people. It might be getting them to your website, but for me, even when they get to your website, and even when they read everything, and even when they fill out the form, etc., there comes a time when a conversation is really important. And so, whether it's face-to-face, Facebook, or on the phone, do you have enough of these highly qualified leads to convert them into highly invested, happy clients? So who else on here has people in your tribe that could use this as well? Because remember, the zoominar is free. It's a free zoominar. We're going to be talking about the 3 myths we're going to bust about networking that are really more like excuses. They're really excuses that people make as to why they're not out networking more. Because I know for a fact that there's other underlying issues, but we're going to bust those myths. We're going to give you a paradigm shift in that thinking as well. And then we're going to talk about how in the world can you get 30 highly qualified leads in 30 days with just as little as 30 minutes a day in effort. I just proved it last Friday. One 30-minute session of what I'm talking about. 3 strategy sessions, one speaking gig, and one podcast interview. The speaking gig and the podcast interview themselves way more than 30 qualified leads, but I'm not going to stop at that because that was just one day out of 30. So I'll just keep going and I'll keep up with the numbers and I will keep you guys informed as to how many I actually get. So I'll talk to you on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Bye.